How Napoleon used dark psychology to conquer the world remembers Napoleon Bonaparte as a brilliant military strategist, a fearless leader, and a ruler who reshaped Europe. But beneath his victories lay something far more powerful than mere strategy. Napoleon did not just fight battles, he manipulated minds. His true weapon was dark psychology. From the moment he rose to power, Napoleon understood one thing: fear, deception, and psychological control were more effective than brute force. He didn't just win wars on the battlefield. He won them long before the first shot was fired. Before Napoleon's army arrived in a city, his enemies already knew what was coming. They had heard the stories, tales of his unstoppable forces, of his brutal efficiency, of entire armies that had surrendered without a fight. But what they didn't know was that these stories were not entirely true. Napoleon spread these rumors himself. He ensured that fear traveled faster than his soldiers. He made sure that by the time his enemies saw his army, they were already questioning themselves. Should they fight? Or should they surrender and avoid destruction? Many times they chose surrender, not because they were weak, but because Napoleon had made them believe resistance was futile. Fear broke them before war even began. Napoleon did not just control his enemies, he controlled his own men with equal mastery. He understood that soldiers don't fight for orders, they fight for belief. On the night before a major battle, Napoleon would walk among his troops, not as a distant general, but as one of them. He would speak to them directly, reminding them that they were not just soldiers. They were the greatest warriors the world had ever seen. He convinced them that history itself would remember their names. And so, when they charged into battle, they did not do so as ordinary men. They fought with the conviction that they were already legends. That belief made them unstoppable. Perhaps the greatest example of Napoleon's dark psychology was the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805. Outnumbered by a coalition of Russian and Austrian forces, Napoleon did something no other general would dare to do. He made himself look weak. He ordered a small, calculated retreat, giving up strategic positions and allowing the enemy to think they had the upper hand. He even sent diplomats to pretend he was desperate for peace. The enemy believed they had already won. They abandoned their defensive high ground and rushed forward, eager to finish Napoleon. And that was when he struck. Napoleon had lured them into a trap. His hidden forces surged forward, cutting through the overextended enemy lines. Within hours, the mighty coalition army collapsed. A battle that should have destroyed Napoleon instead became his greatest victory. He had not just defeated his enemies, he had made them defeat themselves. Napoleon knew that power is not just about strength, it is about perception. He crafted an image of himself as an invincible leader, a genius of war, a man chosen by destiny. Even after his defeat, even after his exile, that legend remained. He had mastered the minds of men so completely that even in exile, even in disgrace, people still feared what he might do next. Napoleon Bonaparte was not just a general. He was a master manipulator, a psychological warrior who shaped the course of history. He turned fear into a weapon, belief into a force, and deception into victory. His enemies thought they were fighting a man, but they were fighting something far more dangerous. An idea, an illusion, and that is how Napoleon used dark psychology to conquer.